star, Eva Longoria. And the rest of our amazing cast, jencarlos, canela? Cinnamon. Cinnamon. Cinnamon in English. Really? You learn something new every day. Deanna Maria Riva. And then our second row, Jaden Douglas. Izzy Diaz. Jose Moreno Brooks. Amade Nolasco. And Alex Meneses. We will take your questions.
Eva, in the past you've talked about you want to create your own opportunities, and then you also have a master in Chicano studies. So I was wondering, do you see the show as like the culmination of both of those things?
Oh, wow. Yes. Yes, in the sense of, you know, I'm Mexican-American, so sometimes people say, oh, I'm 50% Mexican, I'm 50% American, but I'm actually 100% Mexican and 100% American at all times. So it is a marriage of my values and beliefs that there have been communities that have long been ignored for talent, and the Latino community is one of them. So my talent, being an actor, producer, director, I just decided to use that to really dig in and create stories that are fun. They're not Latino stories. This is not a Latino comedy. This is a comedy that has universal themes of family and friendship and love and workplace, and it's really funny. And so I don't set out to do, you know, Latino content, but I have tapped into something that I think reflects the changing landscape of America. Yeah, period. And we're done.
I have a question here. A lot of times, research has found that viewers like to watch shows that have people they can identify with and relate to. That being the case, would you expect that you'd have a larger Latino portion of the audience than maybe the average show?
Who are you asking?
You.
Me, okay. You know what, I hope that Latinos show up, because we do have a show that is about a telenovela, which is a Spanish soap opera. But I think many, many different groups are going to be entertained and identify with one of these characters here. We are a workplace comedy, so you're going to identify with Ana Sofia as a woman. You're going to identify her if you're a vulnerable person, if you're an insecure person. You're going to identify with Mimi, who's this best friend, who's confident and is like the moral compass of the group. And kind of, you know, grounds us.
Overworked mother.
Overworked mom.
Use those out there.
There's a lot of those in America. You know, there's a lot of people that you're going to be able to identify with, not because they're Latino, but because they're human beings dealing with different things in their lives. We deal with it through the comedic lens. But there's still universal issues. Do you guys want to add to that?
Yeah, I mean, really, we're watching a relationship between two people who just got divorced, who are working together, and they could be working at a tuna can factory. I mean, it's just, how does that play out in the workplace? But it's a really heightened workplace, and crazy things happen, but also little tiny moments happen. So it's relatable in that respect, but there's also big fun things that happen that probably wouldn't happen in a tuna factory. Small, oh my gosh, small stories, big moments, you know, small relatable things that are just from all of our lives, and then something happens, like Eva gets trapped in a well.
I like that episode where Mimi's kids, they're just beginning to learn about intimacy, sex, and
you can say it.
I was getting there. I was getting there. Believe me. But yeah, and having the conversation with them, how to address it. I love that episode. So.
And little love stories, probable love stories, impossible love stories. You know, we see them happen, we see them develop. Sometimes at work, and we know that that's going to crash and burn, but isn't it fun to watch? So,
Hi, congratulations. Eva, what experiences from your own not personal life, but your life as a star of Desperate Housewives did you bring to the
So you all think these are stories about the housewives.
And then for the actors as well, what's one thing from a telenovela that you knew you had to bring to this show?
Oh gosh, I want everybody to answer that because everybody has such a unique perspective. But you know what? I actually came from soap operas, from Young and the Restless. So American soaps are very similar to telenovelas. Telenovelas are in prime time, daytime soaps in America, daytime. And there were a lot of divas in daytime soaps. And some of you guys have interviewed me since then. And I remember the men were bigger divas than the women in daytime. There was all this stuff. But then I had a lot of friends in the telenovela world, and they would tell me stories. I had a friend from Venezuela who did soaps there, and the lead of that show, her assistant was poisoning her in real life. And yes, it really, I was like, I mean, that's normal. All the time.
That's very normal.
But I think, you know, yeah, the setting is a workplace. Like she said, it could be a dentist office, it could be a superstore, it could be, the thing about our show that makes it unique is these relationships set against this larger than life world. So that's what I bring to it. Jen actually did telenovela stuff.
I did Spanish soap operas.
This is tame.
Oh yeah, this is a walk in the park. No. I mean, it's a very fun world as well, and Spanish soap operas, they're so dramatic and so intense that I love. I mean, there are a lot of dramatic and intense moments in our show, and especially when we're doing the Spanish parts, these ridiculous circumstances that are presented to us in Spanish soap operas, they're just, in Spanish, they're real life stories because we're a passionate culture. But when you actually like say it out loud, and especially in this show, which is a comedy, they're hilarious. They really are funny. But what's funny about it is that it's actually real. Some of it is very real. So I think we brought a lot of that drama, that passionate fire into this show as well.
Yeah, and the other thing I want Amaury to speak to, because Amaury's role, Rodrigo, is actually really rooted in his real life. He's always cast as the villain in real life. He's always a bad guy in movies, and we were sitting down talking one day, and Amaury said, I always played a bad guy, and he's the most sensitive, sweet guy ever. And I told the girls a story, and they go, wouldn't it be great to have a villain who has a soft side? Do you want to say anything about that?
Well, I have to say I am sensitive because I grew up watching novelas.
That's what you learned everything.
Everything. I grew up in Puerto Rico, so novelas to us it's a day-to-day thing. You know, I remember my dad coming in and being upset. Why are you watching novelas? That's for women. I go, but then he would sit down and watch it with us. So, but yeah, you know, and the girls, you know, the writers are doing a phenomenal job by capturing my life. You know, it's funny because one of the episodes, I don't want to give much away, was about the Basta Boys. And it's very, basically, being from Puerto Rico, I don't know if you guys know, but there's a group called Menudo, where Ricky Martin came from. And I wanted to be Menudo when I was a kid. I used to beg my mom to be a Menudo. And I said, Mom, trust me, they'll pick me. I know all the dances. I know all the... And, you know, and I made the mistake of telling this story to Eva, and she ran with it. So you guys will see an episode where basically my character wanted to be in a boy band so bad that this boy right here was in. He actually took my role, my spot. And then
I didn't take it. They gave it to me.
They still arguing about it today.
Was it? It was the competition was tough though. Yeah, Mario made it tough though.
But anyway,
he has a great voice. You should sing him a little bit.
Yes, you know what? Anyway, I just feel I'm going back to the question. You know, I'm going to leave it up. But novelas to me were part of a way of life, and they're bigger than life. I don't understand why in the United States they last so long. In Latin countries, they have a beginning and an end. It runs for about, tell me if I'm wrong.
6.
6 months.
6 months. It could last 10.
And there's a formula in the novelas that they repeat themselves instead of doing previously, blah, 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 through the whole episode, they're repeating. And that's why you can watch episode 1 or episode 10, and you know the daughter is sleeping with the other guy, and the maid is actually the daughter of the big guy.
There's a lot of sleeping going on.
So that's why.
That's how we like it. Yeah, and we have one director, by the way, like 1 or 2 directors in the show. We had like a director per episode. That was heartbreaking to me in the beginning. I got so attached to our first director, Steve Pink, and then on Friday said, wrap, all right, another director. I'm like, whoa, what?
So you fired?
Change directors almost like that? So a lot of adjusting going on, but it's been amazing.
It's been fun.
It's been fun.
Hi, for Eva, why did you want to do a comedy now? And for the executive producers, which telenovelas did you watch to prep for this?
They did a lot of homework. You guys answer it first.
I can answer why you want to do a comedy, which is your own question. Eva is so funny. I am so excited for people to see the physical humor that we have. Every single episode, there's something crazy that she does, and we'll say, it might be something like, you jump really, and then she's all of a sudden up the wall doing something, okay, yes, just like that. So this is so right for her to showcase all of those things. For telenovelas, we watched a lot. My first one, this is a ridiculous thing to say, but in Spanish class growing up, we watched one called Destinos, and it was always something I enjoyed, and it was in my head for this, and we just watch everything we get our hands on. Destinos.
Destinos.
Yeah.
Muy bien.
Now we watched Teresa.
Teresa.
Marimar.
We actually
It went in.
See, a few of you shaking your head like, yeah, that was good.
And Mentira.
We got to go to Telemundo and actually visit the sets of.
The one Kate Paraíso.
Yeah.
No. Reina del
No, not Reina del
Sincero del Paraíso is the one that Carmen Villalobos did.
She's calling it out right here.
Sincero del Paraíso.
Oh, yeah.
That means without.
Paradise.
There is no paradise without rest.
Yes. It doesn't translate well.
Yeah, sounds bad in English. Never mind. We'll find another name for it.
Yes. But no, I left Housewives 3-4 years ago. I can't remember. And I focused completely on my foundation, my charity work. I was traveling the world. And then I was directing and producing Devious Maids and other projects. And I knew I wanted to return to television because television is my favorite medium of content. It is still, television is at its best right now. It is so good. And I knew I would go back and do a comedy because I had so much fun at Housewives. But I did hit the lottery with Housewives. I was on the best show in the last decade. And I was lucky and I hit the lottery and I thought, I'm not gonna hit the lottery again. And I got really, if I ever go back to TV, it would have to be something worth it. And I got scripts and roles and I would read things and I go, hey. And I had this idea for this show and it was developed as an hour long and then it was, in development for a while. And I never thought I would star in it. I just wanted to develop this idea. And then these 2 girls came into the office and we were pitching them something else to write. And then I said, and then there's this other thing we can't figure out because it's so specific in my head called telenovela. And they were like, what? We want to write that. And I kid you not, the first draft they wrote was so funny. The first draft, and by the time we shot, it was 20 drafts later, but the first draft was so funny. I looked at Ben, my producing partner, and I said, I'm gonna have to be in this, aren't I? And he goes, yeah, it's a really good role. And it's so funny. I've never even had the opportunity to be this funny. And these girls have just written an amazing role. The other thing is, I knew if I was going back to comedy, I wanted to move the ball forward. Cable has really put pressure in dramas. and networks have changed the way they do dramas because cable's dramas are so good. But that pressure doesn't translate over to comedies. Like I thought, comedies are comedies, there's nothing new. The voiceover was a certain device, and then you did the mockumentary between The Office and Modern Family, and that was a certain device. What's the next new, fresh thing in comedy? And I thought, this is a world we haven't seen in television before. You watch a show, it makes you happy, you escape, you identify, you laugh. And that's what I knew I wanted to do when I went back to television.
So, Eva, I've seen the first 2 episodes.
Oh, yay!
And your character is very self-involved. Can you tell us what it is you like about her, and what is she going to grow, and are we going to find things that we really like about her?
Yes, you're going to fall in love with Anna. She's actually self-involved in an insecure way. She doesn't mean to be. She just feels like she is, not worthy enough. She, as you can tell, she doesn't speak Spanish, so she's always 1 foot in, 1 foot out of this culture, which is really my life story. Growing up as a Mexican American, I didn't grow up speaking Spanish, and so I was kind of shunned from my community. And then in the American community, they're like, oh, you're the Mexican, So I really never fit anywhere, and that's exactly how Ana Sofia feels. She's in this great big world of being a Latin star, but yet insecure about, am I Latin enough? And that's one thing that tested really well when we tested our pilot, was Hispanics saying, I love that she doesn't speak Spanish because I didn't learn how to speak Spanish, but we're totally tied to our culture, we're totally tied to our traditions, we're totally tied to our heritage. I've since learned Spanish, I do speak Spanish, not as well as these guys.
You do.
But, and so you're gonna learn to love her because of everything she has to face. I mean, what would you do if you had to work with your husband, ex-husband that you hate every day, and then another, you're working, where's Alex? You're working with a woman who's hates you, and then this other one who's nipping at your heels, ready to take your place, and so she's just being attacked from every which way, but yet it's one big loving family. We have each other's backs. But do you want to say anything about Ana Sofia?
We thought of this season as, for lack of a better term, like Anna getting her groove back, where it's somebody who was pretty much shattered when she found out her husband was cheating on her, and that set her back on her heels. And that, like this season is her kind of letting herself be weak to then gain her confidence again. So in the beginning, she definitely has a bit of a chip, and a little bit of, she's strutting a little bit more. But as time goes on, you'll see that she, learns to soften in which to do at the end, kind of get her power back.
Hi, I have a question. So sorry. My question is a show within a show, which is one of the things, I love that in movies and TV. How much does that play into this show? Do we get to really see the plot of the telenovela and the plot of all of the characters' lives, or is it just the outside lives with a little glimpse of telenovela?
It's really that, the show within the show, Las Leyes de Pasión, the laws of passion. You'll see a little moment here and there, and you'll see we're in that world. So, you'll see things through a normal scene. If someone's having a conversation I think I should break up with my boyfriend, you might see a giant chicken walk by. There are things that are happening around that are all attached to it, but we're not in that show within a show.
But a couple of random things is we have the whole telenovela written in our heads. We know the entire plot, so even though you don't see very much of it on the show, but the show itself is the telenovela. So there are telenovela moments, and the show and the characters have their arc. So though in Las Leyes you'll see snippets of he's married to her and she was raised by wolves or whatever the thing is. Really what you're watching, the telenovela you're watching, is the one that is on your screen, but not on the screen of the screen. Does that make sense?
Okay, I have a question. My question is for the writers and Eva. How did you guys choose this awesome cast?
We got so lucky. Beautiful, talented people walked in, and we were like, yes, let's work with them.
Yeah, you know what? The cat, we were ahead of the game when we actually were casting, because when you get into pilot season, every actor snatched up, and so we knew what we were looking for really early on. We were lucky to, we have half of our cast are veteran, you know, been on many shows, and then the other half are new, young, fresh talent you've ever seen, and I love that mix, and I loved when we were casting to discover Jose Moreno Brooks, who you guys are gonna die over how funny he is, and to find a Puerto Rican in Nashville, Jaden Douglas. We were like, we can't cast Roxy, she doesn't exist, and here comes a self-tape from Nashville. I was like, there's a Puerto Rican in Nashville. Did not know that. And then of course Izzy, who came in, and we go, that's Isaac, and he was testing for another pilot. We're like, no, I hope he doesn't get it.
I didn't get it.
We didn't get it. I lit a candle for you not to get it. And it works, and it works. You know, and then going, you know, to this side, which Mauri, I always knew was going to be Rodrigo. Like I said, this role was created from his life. And Alex, who I have known for over 15 years, when I moved to Los Angeles, she was one of the first actresses I met. And she's one of the most beautiful, talented women, and you have never seen her like this in this show.
Amazing.
She is finally unleashed to do what she was meant to do. And then I was out of town when they were casting Diana, and they sent me her tape, and they said, we want to bring this woman back in. And I read, and I looked at the tape, and I go, oh my God, that's my best friend! And the minute we met in the audition room, I auditioned with everybody. I read with each person from their first audition, and I knew, you know, Mimi and Anna were going to be a very big relationship in this show, because it's really a true relationship of friendship. And the minute I walked in and met Diana, we were bonded for life. And this was before she even tested for NBC or anything. And I was like, this girl is one of the funniest human beings, but also authentically centering. Like, and that's her character in telenovela. Mimi is the center of our group, and then to meet her, and she is that way in life. So then everybody was putting everything together, and then we were trying to find our hobby. And I had met jencarlos through Mauri a year before, and I knew he was on novelas, and I knew he was a big pop star from the Latin world. And I was telling Mauri, I'm like, God, we need to find an authentic hobby from that world. You know, like your friend, Jencarlos Canela, like he's gorgeous, and so who do you think? And Mauri's like, why don't you cast Jencarlos Canela? You know, somebody like him, but like...
Sometimes Eva's so smart. Yeah. And then when things go over her head, it's glorious to watch.
Somebody like that guy, you know, and you know, Jen's Miami-born, and so it was funny that am I wrong?
No, you're not. Miami-born and raised.
Yeah, and then we are in Miami, like Dylan was in Miami. He's so Miami, you have no idea.
I am Miami. I'm very Miami.
He walks in with a suntan, you know, and then that's what completed this. But honestly, every single person, they walked in with the role. The same thing happened when I got Gabrielle and the Housewives. That was my role. Nobody could have taken that role from me. Same thing with these guys. This was their role, and I'm so excited for America to see this new talent and veteran talent as well.
Here in the back, for the creators, what do you think will surprise people about the show? And for the actors, what stood out when you read the script for the first time?
Gosh, that's a tough question. Let's see. I think Eva will absolutely surprise people when they watch the show. They're used to Gabby on Desperate Housewives, who was a really funny character. But like we had mentioned before, the things that she does on the show, like we can ask for anything, and it gets delivered. Like that trapped on a well scene, she was, you know, we're like, do you need somebody to do it for you? To like, because she's literally clinging like American Ninja Warrior from the side of a well. And we're like, you want somebody else? She was like, get me a trampoline. We got this. So it's like that she's that woman. Like we've had her climb on top of people. Like she's breathtaking to watch. It's that thing of like, you know, beautiful and smart and all of that stuff. She shouldn't also be like such a physically gifted comedian, and I think people are going to be surprised about that. Would you agree, Jessica?
I absolutely agree. Another thing I think probably might surprise people is a lot of moments in the show are taken from things that happen in real life on our show, which is, it feels like, you know, an extension of it almost, where something crazy will happen and well, that's going in the show. Like during the pilot, we're shooting and Jose couldn't bend down to pick up his coffee because his clothes are like sewn onto him and he can't move. And we're like, this is ridiculous. It's going in the show. That happens. Eva falls all the time in real life, and it's like, oh, that happens on our show. And you know, when she was talking about the poisoning, you guys all went, oh, and like that happens on our show all the time, and we just throw in the gas because those moments, those gas moments, happen all the time in real life backstage for us. So we put them on the show.
I think you'll also be surprised. It's not inside baseball. Like, even did something happen? My water fell. Oh, okay. It's even though it's you know, it's behind the scenes of a show. It's I think people are gonna be surprised that they're gonna fit right into this family. But I'll start with Jamie to talk about what you thought about the script. What stood out for you?
I mean, the moment that I read, because at first it was just the sides, and the moment I read that, if you read something and you laugh out loud, that's a pretty good sign that it's funny. Because some things get funnier with how you do it, but then some things are just funny the way they're written, and it was written so funny. I immediately was drawn to this character because I felt like, and my character really grows and evolves, which is the beauty of seeing the full season, because it's not what you would expect. Very, very sexy, very va-va-voom, young ingenue, but she has more to her. She's actually pretty innocent, I'll just say that. But the character was funny from the gate. Slight little blonde moments, but she's smarter than you think. So, you know, don't let that blonde hair fool you. But no, I just thought it was hilarious from the gate, and then finding out that Eva was involved was like, what? And then meeting her, and she's been such a huge inspiration, and she really drives this ship and immediately made us all feel like family. So before we even shot the first episode, we had so much natural chemistry because she was planning all these functions for us to hang out and game night and this and that. So I feel like the chemistry was very advanced. So yeah. I feel like this is like the music's playing.
I know, you're playing it loud. Go ahead.
When I first heard that there was going to be a show about the behind the scenes of a Spanish soap opera, that just makes me laugh out loud just even thinking about that. And one thing no one's brought up is that when I was a kid watching telenovelas on TV was because there were these really hot women dressed in little to no clothing. So like, there's a show that's going to do that, I want to be there, and look what happened. We have these gorgeous women, and the clothes they have to wear are ridiculous, and I applaud them so much for it. There is no ego on the show. People do whatever it takes, whether it's a fake tooth, or falling, or food on their face, or looking horrific, or beautiful. There is no ego at all, and somehow the 8 of us get along so well, and that's just the power of the writing, and that's the power of Eva bringing us 8 of us together, and we laugh, you know, just as much off stage as we do on stage, and it's been an actual dream.
I will say there is an element, I think that it's really easy to get a storyline like this and think it's going to be a farce. It's going to be huge. And it's not, and the difference is whether or not there's truth behind it. Do the actors bring truth to their characters so that, and that'll be the key to whether or not the audiences come back and want to watch, because they believe that they really are that ridiculous in their love life, that they make those kind of choices, that they continue making those mistakes over and over again, that they really think in that way. And that to me is what really surprised me about the script, is by the end of it, by the first script, second script, you saw, no, they're real people. They are human. The telenovela is the backdrop. It's an accent. It's a character in and of itself. But you do find yourself wanting to come back and saying, what did she do about this situation? Or what is it that he's going to do next? Because you fall in love with them and the way that they live their lives and the choices they make amongst each other and with each other. And I think that's the most surprising element, because you've seen a lot of actors leave a drama, come back a few years later and do a comedy, and it's easy to be big. But what I liked about this is watching Eva be unafraid to look ridiculous. Right. And I say ridiculous is just kind of a throwaway term, because she doesn't look ridiculous. You end up believing that this is what she wants, and this is how she feels, and this is how she thinks she should live. And it's luckily extremely entertaining. So well done.
And let me add really quick. I know I was just going to say, here's the thing. I believe we're in a groundbreaking show. I was blessed enough to be in a show many years ago called Prison Break, which was also groundbreaking. And just like Eva said, you know, I hit the lottery back then. I said, what are the chances of me hitting the lottery again? And I think I've had. We haven't seen anything like this on TV. I'm not just selling the show here, guys. I dare you to watch the first episode and not want to see the next one. And again, there's just, watch the episode once and then watch it again. There's things that you missed because there's always something. It reminds me a lot of, for the ones that are older or young, I don't know, Mel Brooks and History of the World. There was always, you know, and there's always something going on, and you watch it again. Trust me, it's one of the things that I'm most proud of right now, and I couldn't be happier to be with this amazing cast.
We have time for one more question.
Oh wow, the pressure's on. All right.
Hey, that guy has his hand up. Oh. I'm so sorry.
Eva, since you have such a great history with your charitable projects, and that was one chapter of your life, and you're taking this to reality on the sitcom, and your entire cast is so charitable, and do we think that you will have a scene or an episode that will bring this charity and give a shout out for a cause for one of these charities to help make awareness?
Yeah, well, you know what? We have an episode called Rivals, which is the backdrop of it is a building homes for needy families. So it is Anna Sophia's mission. You know, it's her thing she does every year. We can't use any real charities' names because of clearance, but there was one episode of we all come together, even though we hate each other, for the greater good of a charity.
Build a home.
To build a home. Yes. Motivations there. Yes.
Thank you very much. You guys will all have an opportunity to mingle with the cast and executive producers. Thank you.
Thank you.